one more question. This might be a big one, but I'm expecting you, Rob, to solve the world's problems.
This
so no pressure.
might be a big one.
But we're talking about that gospel. It's good news. It's this reality that is within you. It's here. It's right now. There's no waiting around. There's no dualities. It's here. It's just there to grasp. It feels like there's something going on right now. I know you've been addressing this on and off in your podcast over the last, couple of years, probably on and off. There's been plenty to address. But it feels like whilst the world as a whole, we can zoom out, we'll see this trajectory. We see we're moving in the right direction. We're going to more complexity, depth, inclusion, love, grace, like this beautiful trajectory of good news. It feels that we're in this unique time where we are feeding like never before. Someone told me the other day that deers can hear 200 feet around them. And so what happens is if anything kind of like twig breaks, whatever, they're wired to be like, shit, there's a predator, I'm out of here. And they were saying like in today's world, it's almost like we have been wired to hear 200 miles. Or whatever. And every twig that breaks, it's in the news. It's on Facebook. It's my friend called me. My friend sent me a tweet. Can you believe this idiot said this? Look at what the Republicans are doing now. Like, look at those Democrats. Whatever it is, just can't go boom, 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 boom. And it is just nonstop. And none of it is good news, right? We just don't share the good news. We don't get amped up about it. It's all just negativity, negativity, negativity. What do you think is going on that is, what's happening in that? Because I feel like this movement of spirituality is just as caught up in this. They're not talking about, look at this great exodus of the church. Like I talk to people today and I'm like, the prayer that the church has been praying for the last 100 years for the next big revival, the next great awakening. I'm like, it's here. The problem is it's causing people to leave, but, or to explore something beyond. And so it's not necessarily the most embraced, but it is here. But what is it about? Is there something going on right now that we are needing to transcend? And how do we begin to transcend that hypersensitivity, that fixation on bad? How do we shift to a good news focus? How do we shift to, it's here? Why am I looking out there? Why am I telling myself these crazy stories when there's a whole other narrative I can tell myself? Sorry, that's a rambling question that probably didn't have much to build on.
That was a monument.
This is why my usual podcasts are about 3 hours long, because it takes me about 2.5 hours to start.
That question was like a large hall that we can go in and walk around in. That was quite impressive. I thoroughly enjoyed it. That was great. A couple thoughts. First off, what are people doing on the internet so much? Like, I won't have my phone on me at all today. I'll look at it maybe twice. So this idea that people have to be, so somebody invented fire apparently, and that fire can cook your food and it can keep you warm. It can also burn everything down. So in that sense, these new machines that put the world in your pocket are like any technology. They have an underbelly. I call it the undernet. So I assume there's all sorts of good things happening on Twitter, but it's also filled with lots of people who aren't in the game. They aren't actually participating in new creation. They are throwing stones all day long. These aren't people of courage or substance. They are people who chatter. They literally tweet. So that leaves a person's creational energies sublimated and repressed. You know that you are here for more than just typing comments on YouTube videos. You know that you're here for something more. And yet, precious sacred energies are being spent. Think of the amount of energy on Facebook that's spent sounding off on politics. And yet a number of those people are not involved in their local town council, or they're fixing the potholes in the street, or like if that energy that was spent announcing how the world should be run was spent actually participating in actually helping people in their actual town. So what happened is the internet gave people a wonderful way to avoid actually having skin in the game. And the tricky thing is to actually take part in the world, in the ongoing creation of the world. You have to move from all of the things you could do with the energy and everything that you actually have to have words take on flesh, and that always involves the death of fantasy. Fantasy is here's all the things that I could do if you just put me in charge. And so what happens is the internet allows people to remain stuck in fantasy. They don't have to go through the death of dying to all the things that it could be, so that it could actually be brought into flesh and blood. So these are new machines. These are a new phenomenon. These machines gravitate towards the outrageous and the shocking. So somebody could obviously manipulate that to become president of the United States. Yeah. So what we're learning, if you see it as data, we're learning that these machines can be used for all sorts of nefarious purposes. And there's a specific word that I use for this: apocalypse. For many people, apocalypse means the end, but the word apocalypse means to reveal or to disclose. So these times are apocalyptic, not because it's an end, but much more because it's a revealing. We're learning that a lot of ways of educating don't work. We're revealing that religious institutions that exist to heighten consciousness haven't been doing that. We've learned that government institutions, which exist to serve the greater good, help us arrange ourselves better, at least in America, have been deeply co-opted by corporations and wealth. So it feels like an upheaval. It feels cataclysmic. It feels apocalyptic because it is. Like you said, people leaving these institutions. Yeah. Kristen and I call it apocalyptic hope. We have more hope than ever because the only way to get to the new world is for the truth to be spoken about this world. Like you can't get to new creation without an exposure of the current creation. So grief and imagination are intimately linked. You have to let go and grieve what was. And in it is all the imagination for how it could be. So this thing that you've so well pointed out throughout the past hour, it's massive. It's massive. All of these things that were existing but not serving and doing what they're supposed to do are being exposed. And it's terrifying. You could feel like the foundations rattling, but that's how it works. It's apocalyptic. It's a revealing, and that's how you get the imagination to build a new world.
Wow.
So a friend of mine says, whatever needs to die, just let it die. Like that, people terrified that everybody's leaving that thing. Wait. They're leaving it because it isn't doing what it's supposed to do. And even this idea that people are more tuned into spirit than ever. People are more people are more aware of our connection with the soil. People are more, even all of the chatter of the internet and the omnipresence, more and more people are taking up meditation practice for stillness and the emptiness, to be able to actually hear the divine and experience the non-dual, formless source that is at the root of everything. You know what I mean? You know,
absolutely. Yeah.
So this is how it works. Genesis chapter 1, the spirit's hovering over those dark waters, the tohu vavohu, the void and formlessness. And it's painful, and it's at times like Kristen and I talk about feeling the feels. Some days, like over the past half year of pandemic, you're feeling off. I'm sure you've had this. You're down. You're feeling something.
Days? You mean weeks, right?
Right. And Kristen and I will say, this might be me. I might also, however many people filed for unemployment last week, this might be me. I also might be feeling simply what's in the air. If millions of people are feeling financial stress and you're having an off day, or you're feeling, this may literally be just the thing.
Yeah.
You're deeply connected to the larger body. We always have been. And yeah, so even just letting yourself feel it. Yeah, it's completely normal right now to be like, what is yeah, this is heavy. This is heavy. If you're not feeling this, something got shut off, because this one is heavy. And it's also historically, man, it's how the rebirths work.
Yeah.
It's how it works. It's how we wake up.